guest, he is a superstar of the big screen. He's starring in a new movie, Gotti.
John Travolta promised he'd never love again after Kelly Preston died. For 4 years, he kept that promise. Then in April 2024, something changed on a movie set. The 70-year-old star met someone who made him break his vow. His kids begged him to take the chance. His friend said Kelly would want this. But the woman who changed everything wasn't who anyone expected. And what happened next shocked Hollywood more than any of his past scandals ever did. My daydream was to do in the movies, so you guys will be better at answering that question than me. What do you think it is? John Travolta was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey. His home life was anything but peaceful. He was the youngest of 6 kids. His father, Sam, ran a tire shop and worked long, greasy hours just to keep food on the table. His mother, Helen, dreamed of being a star and had already done small radio and stage performances. She pushed all her kids into acting, using the tricks she had learned chasing her own fading dream. Their small house was always loud. There was no privacy, and John shared a bedroom with 2 brothers. Life was messy and crowded, but it taught him to handle pressure early. He learned how to stand out even in chaos. At 16, Travolta made a decision that stunned everyone. On a cold November day in 1970, he walked into school and said he was dropping out. He'd been saving money for months by skipping meals and walking to work instead of taking the bus. He had $150 and a plan. That night, he told his family over dinner. His dad threw his coffee cup. His mom cried for 3 days. His siblings begged him to stay. But Travolta had already bought a one-way ticket to New York. On December 12th, he packed a suitcase with a few clothes and a copy of the actor's studio handbook. He left so quickly he taped his locker code to the mirror for his brother to clean out. In New York, things didn't get easier. Travolta spent 8 months getting rejected. He lived on cheap hot dogs and borrowed hope. Then one day in August 1971, while doing laundry, he overheard 2 actors talking about an audition for Grease. He had never seen the show. Still, he lied and said he had. His audition lasted 4 minutes, but his energy grabbed the director's attention. He landed the role of Duty in the touring company. For the next 11 months, he traveled to 47 cities and performed 312 shows. He made $185 a week, more than he'd ever seen. That job opened the door to Broadway, where he starred in Over Here alongside the Andrews Sisters. They didn't think much of him at first, but after opening night, they were convinced. In 1974, Travolta took another gamble. He moved to Hollywood. He had $847, a beat-up Oldsmobile, and no contacts. The car broke down twice on the way. When he got there, he slept in parking lots and showered at a gym for $3 a day. His first job was playing an unconscious accident victim on Emergency. He got paid $75 for 47 seconds on screen. Then came a one-line part on The Rookies. Things were rough. His big chance came unexpectedly. He had just left a failed audition when his agent called. A casting director needed someone for a new show. Travolta rushed across town, 23 minutes late, and wearing the wrong outfit. He landed the role of Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. When the show aired on September 9, 1975, everything changed. Travolta became a star overnight. He studied Brooklyn teens for months to get the accent right. He hung out at Coney Island and listened to real high schoolers. Viewers thought he was from the neighborhood. In just 6 weeks, he was getting over 10,000 fan letters a week. ABC had to hire 2 people just to read them all. His catchphrase, "Up your nose with a rubber hose," showed up everywhere: shirts, stickers, lunchboxes. That one line earned over $2 million in merchandise sales by Christmas. But the fame had a downside. Directors saw him only as the wisecracking teen. Serious roles were out of reach. When he auditioned for Saturday Night Fever, the director said, "I don't want Barbarino in my movie." Travolta had to prove he was more than just a catchphrase. Then came Diana Hyland. In 1976, while filming The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, Travolta met the actress playing his mother. She was 40. He was 22. Their connection was instant. Within weeks, they were a couple. people couldn't stop talking about the 18-year age gap. Hyland had been married before and had a young son. Travolta was still new to fame, but they didn't care. They were in love. They talked all the time, on set and off. Travolta would later say he had never felt that way about anyone. What he didn't know was that Hyland was sick. She had been diagnosed with breast cancer in 1975 and had already undergone surgery. She kept it quiet, even from him at first, when they started dating. She was hopeful the cancer wouldn't return, but it did. Travolta said she didn't realize she was dying until 2 weeks before the end. Still, she kept working. She finished 4 episodes of 8 is Enough while the cancer spread. She never complained. Then came the call that changed everything. Travolta was filming Saturday Night Fever when Hyland's condition worsened. He didn't think. Twice, he left the set and flew to Los Angeles. They had been planning a future together. A house, a life, maybe even marriage. He had picked out a white suit for their trip to Rio after the movie wrapped. That trip never happened. On March 27, 1977, Diana Hyland died in his arms. She was 41. Travolta remembered it clearly. I felt the breath go out of her. Her co-stars and close friends were there too. It was a quiet, private goodbye. 2 days later, artist Andy Warhol saw Travolta on a flight to New York. Warhol noticed the red eyes, the silent crying, the paper cup of liquor and juice. Travolta buried his head in a pillow and sobbed. At the memorial, he wore the white suit they'd picked out together. He went back to finish Saturday Night Fever. What people didn't know was that every dance, every moment on screen came from a place of real pain. That performance earned him an Oscar nomination. It was more than acting, it was grief in motion. Travolta later said that Hyland's last words gave him the strength to go on. I'm going now, but you're going to have this work. And he did. The movie made him a superstar. But behind the fame was a young man still mourning the love he lost too soon. In 1978, Grease exploded into theaters. It had cost just $6 million to make, but it brought in $366.2 million across the world. It became the highest-grossing movie of the year and the most successful live-action musical ever made at the time. John Travolta, playing Danny Zuko, danced, sang, and charmed audiences with ease. But behind the scenes, John wasn't celebrating. Just a year before, he had lost someone he deeply loved, actress Diana Hyland. She died of breast cancer in 1977. Travolta had told People magazine that he had never been more in love with anyone. He called himself a one-woman man. So while the world cheered him on, John was still quietly grieving. His sister Ellen, who had a small role in Grease as a waitress, was there beside him. It helped a little. But every song about summer love reminded him of a romance he could never get back. While he danced through fame, another heartbreak was waiting. His mother, Helen Travolta, had been diagnosed with cancer, but no one told him. The family kept it secret, so he could enjoy the spotlight without worry. Helen had always supported his career. She even appeared briefly in Saturday Night Fever. She was proud, smiling at premieres, laughing at parties while hiding her pain. John had no idea he was living a dream while his mother was slipping away. Then came the shock. On December 3rd, 1978, Helen died. She was 66. Just 20 months after Diana had died, now his mother was gone too. At the same time, Grease was still breaking records. The world saw a superstar. John felt completely alone. The pain was crushing. 2 women he loved, both gone, both taken by cancer. He began to wonder, was love always followed by loss? Just when he thought it couldn't get worse, something happened that shook the family even more. Only 6 months after Helen died, John's father, Salvatore Travolta, remarried. The bride, Helen's nurse, the woman who had cared for her during her final days. It stunned everyone. To John, it felt like betrayal. He didn't show it publicly. He stayed respectful, calm. But inside, he was angry and hurt. His mother was barely gone. His father had already moved on. The family that had once felt solid now felt broken. The wounds kept getting deeper. Despite the pain, John kept working. In 1980, He starred in Urban Cowboy. It seemed promising. Country music was everywhere, and he played Bud Davis, a tough young Texan. The movie made money. It even helped start the country craze in America. But something felt off. Critics said he was just playing another version of Tony Manero from Saturday Night Fever. Nothing new, nothing daring. He wasn't growing, just repeating. Slowly, people started to lose interest. They'd seen this before. Then came Staying Alive in 1983. It was a sequel to Saturday Night Fever, but it was a disaster. Sylvester Stallone directed it. The movie cost $22 million and made $127 million, but critics hated it. Roger Ebert mocked the over-the-top dance scenes. He said it had smoke, fire, ice, lasers, everything except soul. It lacked the gritty truth of the original. Instead, it looked like a long, flashy music video. Entertainment, weekly later, called it the worst sequel ever. And just like that, Travolta's image crashed. People wondered if his earlier hits had just been lucky breaks. But in 1989, a talking baby gave him a second chance. Look Who's Talking was a surprise hit. It cost $7 million and made nearly $300 million. Audiences laughed. Kids loved it. Studios saw dollar signs. But critics rolled their eyes. This wasn't the Travolta of Grease or Fever. This was a babysitter with jokes. Bruce Willis, who voiced the baby, actually made more money from the movie than Travolta did. The film led to 2 sequels. Each one was worse than the last. And with each one, Travolta's reputation faded. He was still working, but the roles were light, silly, forgettable. Behind closed doors, things were just as complicated. Travolta leaned hard into Scientology during these years. He joined the church before becoming famous, but now it became his shield. The pressure, the grief, the fading stardom, it all pushed him deeper into the organization. In a 2015 interview, he said it helped him deal with fame and pain. But not everyone believed that. Some former church members claimed Travolta was trapped, afraid to leave. Rumors swirled. Documentaries pointed fingers. Stories leaked about blackmail and secrets. All of it only added to the chaos. In 1993, most people thought John Travolta's career was over. He had gone from starring in hits like Saturday Night Fever to making movies that went straight to video. No one in Hollywood believed he could still act in serious roles. But one person did, Quentin Tarantino. When he was casting Pulp Fiction, Tarantino shocked everyone by choosing Travolta to play Vincent Vega, a hitman addicted to heroin. It was a strange match. Travolta was known for dancing, not dark drama. Studio executives thought Tarantino had lost his mind. But what they didn't know was that Tarantino had written the role with Travolta in mind. He saw something in him that nobody else did. And that risk, it paid off in a way nobody could have predicted. On May 21st, 1994, Pulp Fiction premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. The crowd stood and clapped for 6 full minutes. It wasn't just polite applause. People were crying, cheering, overwhelmed. And John Travolta, the man everyone had written off, stood on stage in tears. French critics called it performance magnifique. They compared his comeback to Marlon Brando's. Dozens of photographers captured the moment. It became a symbol of redemption. Travolta was no longer a washed-up star. He was back and better than ever. Later that year, something even more shocking happened. Travolta was nominated for an Oscar. It had been 17 years since his first nomination for Saturday Night Fever in 1977. He was now 40. People thought his career had peaked long ago, but the second nomination proved them wrong. It wasn't a pity vote. It wasn't for nostalgia. It was real recognition. He was competing with legends, Tom Hanks, Paul Newman, Morgan Freeman. That nomination put him back in the spotlight not as a dancer, but as a serious actor, and that meant everything to him. After Pulp Fiction, Travolta didn't go back to musicals. He chose smart, bold roles. In Get Shorty, he played a mobster trying to become a movie producer. He got a Golden Globe nomination. In Face Slash Off, he and Nicolas Cage switched identities. Travolta had to act like 2 people at once. The film made $245 million. Then came Primary Colors, where he played a character based on Bill Clinton. It was subtle, powerful, and completely different from anything he had done before. Each role showed another side of his talent. By 1999, Travolta was seen not just as a comeback story, but as one of the most skilled actors in Hollywood. His bank account told the same story. In the 80s, he was earning just $150,000 per movie. By 1998, he was making $20 million per film. That a 13,000% increase in just 5 years. Face Slash-Off alone earned him another $12 million from back-end profits. Industry magazine started calling him one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. He got perks like private jets and creative control. But the money wasn't the real win. The real win was respect, something he had lost for years and finally got back. The proposal. In 1987, while filming The Experts, Travolta met Kelly Preston. She was married at the time, but unhappy. Travolta described it as love at first sight. She said the way he looked at her was unforgettable. After her divorce, though, she didn't rush into Travolta's arms. She dated George Clooney. She was engaged to Charlie Sheen, who gave her a 25-carat diamond ring. Still, something kept pulling her back to Travolta. After 3 years apart, they reunited. It wasn't a quick romance. It was a love that took its time. Travolta proposed on New Year's Eve 1991 in a luxury restaurant at the Palace Hotel in Gstaad, Switzerland. At midnight, he got on one knee and offered her a 6-carat yellow and white diamond ring. Preston screamed with joy. Years earlier, as a teenager, she had taken dance lessons after watching Saturday Night Fever. She told her teacher, "I'm going to marry the man in the movie." That dream had come true. Soon after the proposal, she was pregnant, and their life together officially began. Their shared faith in Scientology was a big part of their bond. Travolta had joined after losing a girlfriend to cancer. Preston was already involved before they met. They even had their first wedding in Paris with a Scientology minister. When their son Jet died in 2009, it was their church that helped them cope. Preston once said, "They literally held my hand and got me through." Their beliefs even shaped their parenting. Family life. Preston gave birth silently, following Scientology's teachings to welcome children peacefully. Their family life was a mix of deep joy and deep pain. Their first child, Jet, was born in 1992. He had Kawasaki disease and autism. At 16, he died from a seizure during a family vacation in the Bahamas. Their daughter, Ella Blue, was born in 2000. She followed in their footsteps, acting and singing. She even released a song for her mom called Little Bird. Then in 2010, they had Benjamin. Preston was 48. He was born nearly 2 years after Jet's death. They called him their miracle baby. Travolta said he brought purpose back into their lives. Their kids were everything to them. They cooked together, had family dinners, and kept each other grounded, even in Hollywood. It was supposed to be a perfect start to the new year. The Travolta family, John, Kelly Preston, their 16-year-old son Jet, and 8-year-old daughter Ella, had flown to the Bahamas to celebrate their luxury home in the exclusive Old Bahama Bay resort. The white sand, the warm sea, and the privacy of the island made it a paradise for them. Locals adored them. They were treated like family. But on January 2nd, 2009, everything changed in the worst possible way. That morning, Jet was found. Jet's death, unconscious in the bathroom. A nanny discovered him and panic set in immediately. Jet had suffered a massive seizure. His father tried CPR. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital. But nothing worked. Jet was gone, just 16 years old. It wasn't the first seizure. Jet had been, having them for years, every 5 to 10 days, lasting nearly a minute. But this one was different. It was severe, final. Police initially said he hit his head on the bathtub, but the death certificate ruled the cause as simply seizure. No head trauma was found. The condition is rare but real. It's called SUDEP, sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. It affects roughly 1 in every 1,000 people with epilepsy. It doesn't give warnings. It just strikes. And for the Travolta family, it took everything. But what shocked many wasn't just the death. It was what followed. For years, John and Kelly had insisted Jet had Kawasaki syndrome, a rare disease. But many suspected autism. The reason? Scientology. The religion they followed didn't believe in autism. It viewed such conditions as mental disorders caused by negative influences in their belief system. Autism wasn't something to treat. It was something to reject. It wasn't until a court case months later that John finally admitted the truth. Under oath, he said Jet was autistic and had a seizure disorder. This admission went directly against his church's teachings. Former Scientologists began speaking out. They claimed the church discouraged medical treatment. One even said illness only comes when you're connected to someone who opposes Scientology. Others suggested that maybe, just maybe, if Jet had received proper treatment, things might have ended differently. But the family's nightmare didn't stop there. Just weeks after Jet's death, John Travolta was targeted in a $25 million extortion scheme. The plot was led by a Bahamian senator and a paramedic, someone who had actually treated Jet. They threatened to release a signed document showing John initially wanted Jet flown to Florida before changing his mind. The goal? Make it look like John was responsible for his son's death. They wanted hush money, $25 million. Hidden camera footage caught them negotiating. Case closed, buried deeper than the Titanic, one of them said. One even destroyed the only copy of the document by burning it and flushing it down a toilet. It was disgusting. Cool. The first trial ended in mistrial after a politician jumped the gun and announced an acquittal before the verdict. It added insult to heartbreak. Despite the scandals and grief, John kept moving. In 2016, he returned to TV. He played attorney Robert Shapiro in The People vs. O.J. Simpson. The role earned him award nominations and reminded people why he was once Hollywood royalty. At 62, he proved he could still own the screen. But the next decade wasn't kind. In 2012, 3 male masseurs filed separate lawsuits accusing Travolta of sexual assault. The allegations included incidents at top hotels in Beverly Hills and Atlanta. The claims were graphic and shocking. One accuser changed dates after Travolta's team showed proof he wasn't in town. Eventually, all lawsuits were dropped, but the damage was done. His name stayed in tabloids. Then came another legal fight. His former pilot Douglas Gauderba claimed they had a long-term romantic relationship. He wanted out of a confidentiality agreement. Travolta's lawyers fought back, calling it absurd, but the stories only fueled long-standing rumors. More people spoke up. Travolta's former assistant said she always knew he was gay. A former Scientology executive said he saw Travolta kiss a male masseur. Even actress Margaret Cho joked publicly that Travolta was very gay. Travolta called it the Achilles heel of celebrity. He denied everything, but admitted the rumors would never fully disappear. While the world speculated, tragedy was still looming behind closed doors. Around 2018, Kelly Preston was diagnosed with breast cancer. She chose to keep it private. Only a few people knew. She kept working, attending public events, even walking red carpets. Her final public appearance was for the premiere of Gotti in 2018. 2 years later, on July 12, 2020, she died. It happened at 11:46 a.m. in their Florida home. She was 57. Her death came just 3 weeks after she posted a touching Father's Day photo of John and their kids. It turned out to be her last public message. She was cremated in Brooksville, Florida. The world didn't even know she had cancer until John told them. He announced it on Instagram. His post was raw and honest. With a very heavy heart, he wrote, "I inform you that my beautiful wife Kelly has lost her 2-year battle with breast cancer." He said he needed time to be there for their children, Ella and Benjamin. It was the first time most people heard about her illness. Fans and celebrities flooded the post with condolences. The grief was overwhelming, but the love was real. John had stood by Kelly through it all. He stayed by her side during treatments at MD Anderson Cancer Center. He turned down movies and public appearances. He focused on her, on family, on keeping life as normal as possible for their kids. It wasn't the first time he had gone through this. In 1977, his girlfriend Diana Hyland died of breast cancer too. Losing Kelly brought that pain back, But this time he had children who needed him. He became their rock. John Travolta's recent years have taken unexpected turns, some touching, some controversial, and some that have left fans confused. One of the most surprising parts is his friendship with producer Randall Emmett. Emmett's name has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. In 2023, his company nearly collapsed under lawsuits, fraud charges, and abuse claims. His ex-fiancée, Lala Kent, was already a known figure, but things got even worse when former employees spoke up. One assistant said he threw a ping-pong paddle so hard it cracked a glass door. The repair cost $800, and there was even an invoice for it. Another assistant who was just 24 said she was terrified of him but felt like she couldn't show it. So why would Travolta stay close to someone like that, especially while dealing with the pain of losing his wife, Kelly Preston, at the same time? He was reportedly pulling back from Scientology. People who knew him from that world started to question his judgment. It didn't seem like the same Travolta who had always been seen as a loving husband and devoted father. The connection to Emmett made everything look more complicated and a little darker. Then came another twist that no one saw coming. In April 2024, reports said that Travolta had grown close to Kristen Davis. The actress best known as Charlotte from Sex and the City met Travolta while filming a movie called Cash Out. Insiders said the chemistry between them was obvious. Travolta, now 70, was telling friends how smart and beautiful she was. It was the first time anyone had linked him to a possible romance, since Kelly passed away nearly 4 years earlier. What made it even more surprising was that his kids, Ella and Benjamin, were okay with it. They reportedly liked Kristen and wanted their dad to find happiness again. According to sources, people on set were saying how great the two looked together, and Travolta's friends were encouraging him to take the chance. But there's a catch. Travolta has been deeply afraid to open up again. Friends say he's still scared of being vulnerable. They describe him as someone with a big heart who's always been kind. That fear of losing love again might be what's holding him back. After Kelly died, Travolta made a quiet promise to himself. He told people he would never date again. He felt it would dishonor her memory. For almost 3 years, he lived by that. He said he would stay loyal to her until the end of his life. But in 2023, something started to change. People close to him saw the loneliness creeping in. Friends and family reminded him that Kelly would have wanted him to be happy. They told him life is too short to spend it alone. The death of his close friend Kirstie Alley in December 2022 made that message even louder. It shook him. Another person he loved was gone. By the middle of 2023, Travolta started thinking that maybe he didn't want to be alone forever. Then in May 2024, word came out that even his kids were encouraging him to start dating. But still, Travolta hesitated. He kept saying his children came first. He made excuses. He said it wasn't the right time.